A single transcription error in a law enforcement case can unravel months of investigative work. A vendor without proper security clearance can compromise an entire criminal proceeding. And a transcription company that hasn't been vetted to federal standards? That's not just a vendor problem, that's a chain of custody problem, and it can follow a case all the way into a courtroom. Law enforcement agencies deal with some of the most sensitive audio and video content in existence. Intercepted communications, interrogation recordings, surveillance footage transcripts, witness interviews. This material doesn't just need to be transcribed accurately. It needs to be handled inside a security framework that can withstand federal scrutiny. Most transcription vendors can't meet that bar. That gap is exactly why Ditto Transcripts was built to operate differently from the start. So what does a truly qualified law enforcement transcription vendor actually look like? Let's start with CJIS. The Criminal Justice Information Services Division of the FBI sets the compliance standard for any organization that handles criminal justice information. CJIS compliance isn't a checkbox. It's a certification that requires specific data security protocols, access controls, audit trails, and personnel vetting procedures. If a transcription vendor can't demonstrate CJIS compliance, they should not be handling law enforcement audio. Full stop. Then there's the personnel side. Who is actually listening to your recordings? Many transcription companies, including offshore vendors and some domestic ones, do not require fingerprint-based criminal background checks on their staff. That's a significant vulnerability. For law enforcement content, you need documented assurance that every person in the transcription chain has been vetted at the federal level. And finally, there's chain of custody documentation. In criminal proceedings, evidence handling must be logged and traceable. If a transcript is challenged in court, you need to demonstrate who received the audio, who transcribed it, and how it was stored and transferred. Without that documentation, the transcript's admissibility becomes a liability rather than an asset. Who specifically faces these challenges? Law enforcement administrators who are evaluating transcription vendors for department-wide contracts. FBI and DEA procurement officers who need vendors that already meet federal compliance requirements without requiring extensive internal vetting. Police department records managers who are responsible for maintaining evidentiary integrity across hundreds of cases. For all of these professionals, vendor selection isn't just an operational decision. It's a legal and procedural one with real consequences if it goes wrong. Consider a few concrete scenarios. A federal task force is conducting a wiretap investigation. Hundreds of hours of recorded communications need to be transcribed accurately and securely. The transcription vendor they choose must be CJIS compliant, or the entire transcript library could be challenged on security grounds. Or consider a municipal police department preparing for a high-profile trial. The defense requests documentation on how audio evidence was handled from the moment it was recorded to the moment it was submitted as a transcript. Without proper chain of custody records from the transcription vendor, the department has a problem. There's also the scenario of a regional law enforcement agency that switched from an offshore transcription service to a domestic one, only to discover their new vendor still hadn't conducted fingerprint background checks on transcriptionists. The audio was still exposed to unvetted personnel. And then there are DEA procurement officers who need to qualify vendors quickly. They don't have time to audit a vendor's security protocols from scratch. They need a company that comes already certified. This is precisely the problem space that Ditto Transcripts addresses directly. Ditto Transcripts holds CJIS compliance certification, meaning the company has been evaluated and approved against the FBI's own standards for handling criminal justice information. That certification isn't self-reported. It's verifiable. On the personnel side, Ditto Transcripts requires fingerprint-based criminal background checks on all transcriptionists. Not just standard employment screenings, fingerprint checks, the same class of vetting used by federal law enforcement agencies themselves. Every person who touches a law enforcement file at Ditto Transcripts has cleared that threshold. Ditto Transcripts is also entirely US-based. There's no offshore component, no routing of sensitive audio to jurisdictions outside federal oversight. The full transcription workflow happens domestically under CJIS-compliant data handling protocols. And Ditto Transcripts provides the chain of custody documentation that evidentiary transcripts require. Agencies receive records that establish who handled the audio, When and under what security conditions? Documentation that holds up when a defense attorney starts asking questions. What does this mean in practice for the agencies and officers making these decisions? It means a federal procurement officer can qualify Ditto Transcripts against existing CJIS compliance requirements without building a new vetting framework. It means a records manager can produce chain of custody documentation without scrambling to reconstruct it. It means an administrator can onboard a transcription vendor knowing that every file is being handled by personnel who have passed the same category of background check as sworn officers. It also means fewer vulnerabilities at the point where evidence meets the legal system. Transcripts from Ditto Transcripts arrive with the documentation to support their admissibility, not to complicate it. Agencies that handle sensitive criminal justice recordings don't have margin for vendor uncertainty. Ditto Transcripts exists specifically to eliminate that uncertainty. Learn more and connect with the team at www.dittotranscripts.com.